Which doesn't belong in why? Todd Monken, the new Ravens offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy, the new coordinator in D.C. Bill O'Brien back in New England. And Nathaniel Hackett, high-profile flame-out last year in Denver, now with the Jets. Which doesn't belong and why?
I think it's Eric Bieniemy because I think of those four guys, he's the only one who really is in trouble in that. Well, I don't want to say trouble. It's just he's the one that has the most unknown quarterback to work with, right? And I don't know if that means it's trouble because it's Sam Howell. Because if it goes well, then Eric Bieniemy is probably going to be, knock on wood, I guess. I don't know. Eric Bieniemy is going to be in the conversation to be a head coach somewhere. You would like to think, perhaps even with the organization that he's already at. Because Josh Harris is coming in as the new owner, you don't know what in the world is going to happen there. So, yeah, I think it would probably be Eric Bieniemy that doesn't belong.
I'm going to say it's Todd Monken just because I think he has got the biggest challenge of any of these guys to dramatically alter the Baltimore offense from run-based to apparently pass-based. Your quarterback's already saying he wants to throw for 6,000 yards for crying out loud. So You got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of work to do to reconfigure this offense. You got a lot of people to buy in. And you've got to get the head coach to buy in. And let's face it, I mean, it's not like Todd Monken was on the short list of offensive geniuses that people were clamoring to get. He was exiled from Cleveland to Georgia, and was out of the NFL for a few years. So this is not going to be easy for him. The expectations are going to be that offense will be a lot better. It's just a lot of weight on him in 2023.
I mean, all he did was win a couple national championships and turn Stetson Bennett into a 4th-round pick. So, I mean, it's not like it was a slouch at Georgia with what he was doing there. And that whole 2019 thing with the Cleveland Browns was a total mess. So, but I think it's never going to be really pass-based with the Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson can say, 6,000 yards, whatever. But I think that it's still going to be the Baltimore offense that is based off of the run. You have to have a run-based offense when you have that quarterback and that kind of threat, with his legs. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm saying that is one of the things that makes Lamar Jackson elite. It also doesn't mean he can't throw the ball. Of course he can throw the ball, but I feel like it's got to be a better balance of run and pass and not necessarily pass-based versus run-based, if that makes sense.
So not 6,000 passing yards for Lamar Jackson, even though that's what he said he would like to do. He said it. He said it out loud. It was at a press
conference. He was at a press conference where he just signed his new deal. I mean,
he didn't say he's in the best shape of his life, but he did say
not yet.
6,000 passing yards. All right, okay. Frank Reich, the new Panthers coach, recently addressing the extent to which he would like to turn Laviska Shenault, Panthers receiver, into a Deebo Samuel type. Have a listen.
Well, it'll be interesting. I think Laviska has been one of those guys out here that's looked good. We'll continue to investigate the different roles that he can play. Obviously, even if we had this grandiose plan, which maybe we do, but I wouldn't reveal that, here or now, all the different ways you can use him. But, you look at guys like Deebo Samuel and stuff like that, and you say, well, can Laviska do some of that stuff? Of course he can. We'll experiment with some of that stuff. We'll experiment with some of that stuff and see what, some of it will get incorporated and some of it won't.
You're really committed to supporting your sponsors when you've got the translucent backdrop on the practice field for the press conference. That's something. That is something. The floating Bank of America logo, along with the floating Panther logo. So which doesn't belong and why? Deebo Samuel, Laviska Shenault, or Kadarius Toney, all receivers who get used in the running game.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel doesn't belong with those other two dudes because Deebo Samuel has proven that he's way better than those other two dudes. I mean, why are we putting Deebo Samuel in a conversation with those other two guys? Why is Deebo Samuel coming out of your mouth, Frank Reich, when you're talking about another player? I mean, this is one of the most effective offensive weapons in the entire National Football League, right? And I'm sorry, but Laviska Shenault and Kadarius Toney, maybe they have some of that in them, but they don't have what Deebo Samuel's got, at least not yet. So get Deebo Samuel out of that conversation and put him where he belongs.
It's funny. As you say that, it reminds me of something from the very excellent Shaquille O'Neal series on HBO. I'm sorry, still have Peacock too, but I tripped over that recently, And there's a great line when he faced Patrick Ewing for the first time. His dad told him, "You show respect by showing none." So adding Deebo Samuel with those two shows plenty of respect to Deebo Samuel by showing none whatsoever, because he is separate from those two. But I would say Shenault doesn't belong, because at least we know Tony has absolute positive high-end ability. They're scratching the surface in Kansas City. They fully intend to deploy him as maybe their number one Tyreek Hill replacement this year. Shenault's got a long way to go to be in that category, approaching Tony and then Deebo Samuel above and beyond that. All right, one more. Micah Parsons, here he is on lining up everywhere for the Cowboys in 2023.
Mike said the next step for you is opening up more opportunities for other people. How do you think and go about that?
Just playing chess, just being able to move around. I think that's the special ability that I have and what I want to incorporate, So we're doing a lot of special things. I don't want to give a lot away right now, but it's going to be a really cool year. I'm probably going to play 8 positions this year, so don't even ask me anymore.
You know your 8 positions.
Yeah. Have you looked at goal line? I think I got a goal line package. Luke Gifford left. I think I got a goal line package.
He really could play every position on defense except corner, right? I mean, they could put him anywhere, and he could probably do okay, not embarrass himself at corner if he had to. If you look at how he can move, we had the video recently of him and I can't remember which receiver it was, and the Deuce, the new running back they drafted, the little guy, Deuce Vaughn. So, I mean, Micah Parsons can move, and Micah Parsons can do it all. So which doesn't belong and why? Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They each have multiple All-Pro seasons, but no Defensive Player of the Year awards yet.
Yeah, my first instinct is to say Micah Fitzpatrick because he's a defensive back, I think that it doesn't say as much about what he means to that Pittsburgh Steelers defense, right? I mean, I guess it's kind of Myles Garrett because that's a team where you just don't know if they're going to contend or not. And they have now Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator. So that means Myles Garrett's going to be playing that wide 9 technique. And I think that probably will be good for him. He's already an elite defensive guy. But yeah, it's interesting because the defense does revolve around Myles Garrett, but not necessarily in the same way that I think Pittsburgh's defense kind of revolves around TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick. And then you have Dallas's defense that's got Micah Parsons like that. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, for me, it's simpler, even though it's not as glaring of a distinction as we had with Deebo Samuel, Laviska Shenault, and Kadarius Toney. I still think Micah Parsons is a step above the others. And I know that's saying a lot considering one of the others is Myles Garrett. But Parsons is just that guy that can do it all, that has been incredible, only 2 seasons in the league, unlimited potential, arguably could have been Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie. They just don't give that award to rookies. You get Defensive Rookie of the Year, someone else's Defensive Player of the Year. So the more creatively they use him, the more he can generate by way of highlights and sacks and just disruption and chaos and everyone constantly worried about where he is. He's the one defensive player I wouldn't want to have to deal with in the NFL because you never know where he's going to come from and you never know where he's going to be and you never know what he's going to do. But it's usually going to be something that makes it harder for the offense to move the ball. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.